to the Web3 Prof Podcast.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with Alladan Flynn from BTC Trading Cards, formerly BTC Trading Cards. Alladan, thanks for being with me here today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jarrett.
So let's just start things off with just hearing a little bit about your story. Tell us, how did you get into Bitcoin?
So I actually grew up on a small farm with a dad that was pretty based originally growing up. So distrust was a really big one of authority and on many levels. So my first touch point was 2012, and I had a friend tell me about it. Didn't know much about it at all. So the way he explained it to me, it just went in one ear and out the other, like most people that hear about Bitcoin for the first time. And then in 2016, it was actually my chiropractor and one of my best friends right around the same exact time that started talking to me about it. And I'm like, you know what? I heard about that. So at this point, there's a lot more access to good education. Stumbled upon Tone Vase. That was one of my first touch points into Bitcoin. And just started realizing how big it was when it came to the decentralization point. So at that point, I was incredibly interested in what the potential was for this. So I just started going down the rabbit hole at that point and yet never turned back.
So that was in 2016, is that right?
Yeah.
So you've been in the space for, I guess, at least more than half of the existence of Bitcoin, which is kind of cool. And you've been developing this business around trading cards. Can you just tell us a little bit about BTC Trading Cards?
Yeah. So when I first got into Bitcoin, like many people, you want to tell everyone about Bitcoin, and you wonder why everyone doesn't pick it up as quickly as you do.
Yeah.
So we kind of go evangelist on it, and I was striking out everywhere I went with everyone I talked to. And being an artist myself and a collector of trading cards growing up, and I had a small business where I did trading cards in 2016, actually. So my idea was, how do I work in Bitcoin? I'm an entrepreneur, so I definitely wanted to figure out a way to work inside the Bitcoin space somehow, but I'm not a technical guy. I'm definitely not the guy. I'm even on this computer setting these kind of things up. I am more of an analog person. So I wanted to find a way to blend my simple learning skills in a way for the everyday person to be able to understand Bitcoin. And started going out and actually teaching, doing some classes on Bitcoin where it was just basic Bitcoin fundamentals. And it was working really well. And I started working with individuals, not financial advice in any way, but just trying to explain them what Bitcoin was. And I had a little booklet, and I would write all my notes in there of what intrigued people, what ran them off. And I started putting that together for about 3.5 years. I worked on the idea of Bitcoin trading cards to basically make a really fun way for people to learn about Bitcoin in a way where you don't have to open up a conversation. You can literally hand them a pack of trading cards. It's nostalgic, it's physical, all the things that really scare people away from Bitcoin. I was able to kind of put into this trading card project. And when you rip a pack, you're learning about much more than Bitcoin, all the reasons why Bitcoin is so important. So the difference between an asset and a liability, supply and demand, all these economic fundamentals that most people just don't have, sadly. Even a lot of financial advisors that I've met over the years, they had no idea what Bretton Woods was. So we have a Bretton Woods card. All of these things that I've learned along the way in Bitcoin, putting them into amazing art, highly collectible, to incentivize people to want to learn. And wasn't expecting it to take off quite as fast as it did, but the idea worked for sure.
And has the card collection been generally targeted towards kids or adults, or is it quite a diverse audience?
It's very diverse. So it's been pretty amazing how we've been able to get multi-generations to get into this. So we've got collectors as old as 75 years old, and then their kids, which is around my age, and to age myself, but 30s and 40s, and then them being able to try and get their kids maybe to look at something that isn't Pokemon, that has some actual education, some real meaning and mission behind it, to try and get these kids to even understand what scarcity is, which is huge. And that's like one of the biggest missing pieces across the cryptocurrency space, the trading card space. People do not understand scarcity. You could take Shiba Inu, for example. I've had many friends, family that I'm not getting into Bitcoin. I'm into Shiba because I've got 10 million Shiba, and one of these days it's going to go to $1 and I'm going to be rich. Like, well, I'm sorry, but you don't understand scarcity, because I think there's 1 trillion Shiba Inu coins. So I think there's actually a lot more than that. So in order for it to ever go to $1, it's probably not going to happen in our lifetime or your grandchildren's lifetime. And I'm sure there'll be many other Shibus by then. So these are the basic fundamentals that people across crypto to Bitcoin, Bitcoin, usually you're there, but especially crypto and collectibles. It's the same for Pokemon. Most people don't understand that Pokemon prints an average of 1 billion packs or more a year. And that's a billion with a B.
Oh,
so when
wow.
you're collecting, and you're collecting Pokemon cards, and you're expecting these to be scarce collectible cards, but they literally will not give you the total numbers of what they print. This is the big one that I say to many people, because I go to all these different conferences, trading card conferences, collectible conferences, and I have to ask the question, is something really collectible if you don't know how many exist? Can you really call it collectible? Can you call it scarce if there's literally no transparency on how many of these things are out there, or how many more they can print if it becomes more popular? I mean, there was a reason why Beanie Babies ended up busting.
Yeah. Is base trading cards a game, or are they simply collecting trading cards?
Yeah, right now they are collecting trading cards. So I'll give you an example. Here is Government Can't Stop Bitcoin. So we go above and beyond on the artwork to just create the best art possible. And then on the back, it just gives you a really quick cliff note on why the government can't stop Bitcoin. So I'd say, and I've said this many times when people ask, is there a game? Yeah, the most important game. It's the game of life. And these are the fundamentals that it really doesn't matter how good of a career you have. If you don't understand the basic fundamentals of money, there's a good chance that unless your career is just pumping that money out, there's going to be a failure at some point. So I do think it teaches on the most important game.
Can you tell us any stories or any interesting things that you've heard from collectors where it really has helped them understand or get a deeper, more intimate knowledge of economics or Bitcoin itself or mining or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from our community to outside the community, people at card conventions that have only heard about Bitcoin and passing, the best way to explain it is when you're reading a book, it's really hard, especially nowadays with social media being so quick, 30-second little clips and videos. And that's about all of the time preference we have to keep up with. So when you're reading a book, as many people I'm sure could kind of relate, you can end up reading. It's kind of like driving down the road and you're like, holy crap, what happened to the last 5 minutes? I don't even remember driving. Same for a book. So one of my favorite books and what really taught me the most was The Bitcoin Standard. And I literally had to read it multiple times. I had to listen to it multiple times on audiobook in order for me to truly digest everything in that book. And it's a very long book. So luckily, being an entrepreneur and at the time a stay-at-home dad, I had the time to be able to do that. And I did a lot of driving, so I was able to really digest it multiple times. But this has been a great way for people to learn, again, like Bretton Woods Agreement. It's a very big topic and one that I'm sure 90% of people on Earth probably know nothing about. So to get that card, and if the art is good enough, the art is going to already speak to them. It's going to capture their attention. And then on the back, you got one little paragraph to read to give you that breakdown. And if you're collecting these and there's a value to these, which is the incentive, then you're probably going to look at it multiple times. Someone's asking for a trade. Someone is asking to buy that card. You're going to go in, you're going to look at them. You're going to check the corners. You're going to really inspect your card. So it's really incentivizing you to read that little cliff note over and over. And I think, especially in today's world, this is what people need. They need that quick little bit to get them started. And a lot of these has worked great because they'll get started and they're intrigued. And now they're going to go and read up on Bretton Woods. You just have to capture their attention first. And for Bitcoiners, it's been incredible. They use this for their friends and family. It's really a way to open up a conversation without actually opening up a conversation. Just let them open a pack and they get excited and start asking the questions. And I'm a strong believer of, if you want to teach someone something, you need to empower them to ask the questions. Otherwise, you're just giving them your opinion over and over. So how can you incentivize them to empower themselves and start to ask you the questions? And that's starting out with something simple enough for them to understand just enough to be able to ask an intelligent question. Because I think that's what stops us many times from wanting to learn more. And I've heard this probably 1,000 times. Well, I'm not smart enough for Bitcoin. I don't even know what to ask you. I feel like an idiot right now because I don't understand it. These cards really just simplify it to the point where it is broken down simple enough to empower people to feel like they can ask an intelligent question. And that's been a massive success.
That's great, Alladan. Thank you. I mean, it's pretty cool to see this. You know, my kids were at a Bitcoin event a few weeks ago, and some vendors were handing out your cards, and they were pretty excited to collect them. And I was excited because, you know, as a Bitcoiner, I'm always excited to see my kids get more involved in the Bitcoin community. You've touched on this a little bit, but why do you believe that culture and storytelling is more effective to communicate maybe the message of Bitcoin or economics rather than maybe long form media like podcasts or like books or things like that?
So we have intellectuals, and then we have the everyday person that just is out enjoying life. I'll break it down in two ways. The intellectual, you're going to have some that end up into Bitcoin, and we know a lot of them, highly intelligent, very cognitive people, and they're going to grasp on potentially very quickly and run with it. Well, then the other highly intelligent group of people, they're going to actually do everything they can to battle against it. Because cognitive dissonance is obviously incredibly strong with so many people, especially the deep thinkers. So if you went through your life and you have one set of ideals of how things are, and sadly, we've been brainwashed pretty hard throughout our life. The school system really doesn't even teach economics anymore. It's more, well, I mean, we all know what the school systems are, public school systems are doing. So that level of intellectuals, which I have a lot of those friends, will do everything they can to deny it, to argue and fight and go against it. Because again, the cognitive dissonance of them having to realize that everything they've been taught and everything they've believed for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever it might be, now they have to relearn everything because what they were taught was wrong. So breaking it down in culture for them is incredibly important. Making it something they can relate to, making it something that is digestible for one, but going back to what I was saying previously, giving them the power to ask the question and not feeling like you are trying to tell them how things are. If they are able to breathe long enough and just take a moment to read a little bit, that might incentivize them to just step back for a second and go, okay, it's kind of hard to deny this one fact. And if the fact is coming from something that is nostalgic, something that is creative and not you, there's a lot more of a chance, because as we know with friends that love to argue, if I personally make the point well, they're going to battle against me just to battle against me. But if the point comes from a pack of trading cards and you're giving them the power to come to you with that question, you're already breaking down that massive wall. And then for the general public, the simplest way I can say this, being a musician myself, you're a musician, there's nothing that fires people up more than music, beyond even art. Music, when you're at a concert, that feeling, that vibe, people are just so magically enthralled with that moment right there.
Yeah.
There is no podcast. There is no, and I love Michael Saylor, but there's no Michael Saylor speech. There's no anyone's speech that is ever going to draw that feeling, that vibe out of a human being more than music. And music is culture, if anything. And that's why the 1960s, that's why the Renaissance throughout the ages of human beings, it has been the culture. It has been the arts that has been some of the biggest motivators of cultural change. And that's what Bitcoin has the potential to do, is make a cultural change. And I personally do not see that happening with podcasts and books and people standing on stage. I think that's definitely a process point, maybe stage 3 or 4, but stage 1 and 2, that's going to be something that just catches your eye or catches your ear and gets you interested in a way that, again, just, it's all about bringing that wall down and getting people to relax enough to want to take a chance on something new.
Oh, that's great. What cultural values or ethos do you have being embodied by Bitcoin in your cards? You know, like what are some of the really important messages that you're trying to communicate, and how do you communicate these in your cards?
Yeah, great question. Number one, in trading cards and a lot of collectibles, there's no transparency. You have these companies, and nothing against these companies, have been collecting their products for many years. They are not willing to come out and tell the customer anything about how many cards they print or if they're going to reprint. There's a lot of missing information. And with Bitcoin, we don't have to question. We have the blockchain, and everyone has access to go on the blockchain and be able to see the transactions, see everything right there. The ledger is the most beautiful part of Bitcoin, and the fact that it's decentralized. But those two pieces is what's missing in so much, especially in collectibles. So we are potentially, as far as I can tell, the only trading card project that is 100% transparent all the way down to the base cards. Everything we print and everything we do, we have 100% transparency. And with that, you have honor and integrity. And these are the things that are missing from your general contractor to the big box stores. I mean, you name it. Honor and integrity is what's going to shift our world in a positive direction more than anything else we could ever do as human beings.
And so is that just on your website? I can go see how many of each card type you've printed effectively?
Absolutely.
That's great. Do your cards hold value aside from kind of their retail value? Are people like selling rare cards at this point, or is that still too early in the game for you guys?
To my surprise, I was honestly never expecting a card to be worth more than maybe $50. Maybe if someone pulled a 1 of 1, it's worth $100. My whole naive idea when I came into this was it was specifically just orange pill in a pack. Basically, that's what we named our main series. And the collectability of these blew up within 2 months. Some of the cards, this was back when Bitcoin was around, I think, $16,000 when we first came out. Some of the cards were going at that time for 1/10 of a Bitcoin. And these were cards that were out of 100. Yeah. Massively to my surprise, I was not expecting anything like that, because we don't, as Bitcoiners, we really, I mean, our motto is sats before packs. So if you're already into Bitcoin and you don't need the education, if you want to buy them because you love trading cards and you want to have fun with them, great, but you should probably be stacking sats. And if you're outside of Bitcoin, then it's the incentive of maybe there being this secondary market, but it really blew up in a way that I never imagined, to the point of we created a lenticular Ross Ulbricht card in 2023. and it was a one of one. And we worked with Tommy from Bitcoin Magazine. He did the artwork on the card. He was able to source some art from Ross, actually, that he did when he was in prison. And we overlaid Tommy's art with Ross's art. And when you turn the lenticular one day, you see Ross Ulbrich's artwork. And when you turn it the other way, you see Tommy's art.
Oh, that's
and
pretty cool.
We put that up for auction on Scarce City, and it went for, I think it was 0.47 of a Bitcoin. And I'm sure a lot of the incentive of why it went for so much was because we donated 100% of the proceeds to the Free Ross Foundation. So it wasn't just on the collectible side. It was going towards 100% towards Ross to help get him out. But that was probably the biggest one by far. But for example, a Series 1 box, 15 to 20,000 minimum to get one of those if you're lucky.
Wow. I better go find my kids' cards. Better have a look here.
Yeah, well, when we launched at Pacific Bitcoin in 2022, and we gave away 2,100 of these Pacific Bitcoin promo packs. Not thinking anything. It's not going to be collectible. These are just the free giveaway. And most people thought the same thing. So they discarded them. They were in the goodie bags. They were thrown away. There was actually a box of, I think, like 300 of them that was left over in the Swan booth. And they literally took them and just threw them in the dumpster. They were gone. So 2,000 packs given away for free. Never sold a single pack. And if you can find one of those packs for under $1,500 today, you're getting a steal.
That's an unopened pack, I guess.
That's an unopened pack. Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. Okay. We're into something here.
Yes.
How do you design the cards to be accessible where, kind of like the regular person can read them, that they think the art is cool, they can read them, they're relatable, but maybe they're not tech savvy, like both you and I, or maybe they're not financially sophisticated. How do you design them in a way that, makes it accessible for these people?
It's got to be conceptual. So that's one of the most difficult jobs I have is conceptualizing even the Bretton Woods Agreement. This is one of my favorites here, conceptualizing the government. So I don't know if you can see that, but
yeah.
So that's, to me, the concept right there of the government.
So is that like an octopus under the water?
It's a kraken, yeah.
Oh, kraken. Okay, great.
Yeah. So what you see is usually beautiful, and we all think it's all a good thing. And then what's below that you don't see is the real danger. And not to say that all government is bad. I definitely don't say that. But we've been proven many times that it's absolute power breeds absolute corruption. And it's just dangerous territory. So, with all of these cards, here is FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So that's some bankers running from Wall Street there, and you got the FUD bear kind of chasing them down. Yeah. And then on the back, it's just a little breakdown of what FUD is. So it's really making these concepts as simple as possible. And when I first got into Bitcoin, there were all these acronyms. You got HODL, you got FUD, and new ones coming up all the time. I think when I came in, there was no HODL. That was one that was created, I think, by American HODL or Arizona HODL. But all of these acronyms, again, it makes the new person feel, for lack of better words, dumb. And you're afraid to ask what these acronyms mean because you should understand what they mean. And we're afraid to ask. So we put a lot of that in here. So FOMO card and so many little bits and pieces to help people understand the terminology of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, the whole entire economic space, so that they can feel empowered again to ask these questions and not feel like they're not smart enough to ask it, which will in turn keep them away.
Have you witnessed transformation or community building around Bitcoin through the storytelling initiatives of your cards?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best part of the whole thing. We have, obviously, Jarrett, I'm biased. We have, in my opinion, the best community in the entire Bitcoin space worldwide. And I say worldwide because we have community members from all over the entire world that come into our Telegram group that literally travel the world to meet us at Bitcoin conventions and we all get together. We've shared Airbnbs before with up to, I think biggest we have is like 18 people in one Airbnb
Oh, wow.
that I rented out. Yeah, our community is incredibly special. Everyone is incredibly helpful. If you join in the community and you ask any questions, you're going to have at least 10, 20 people within the first hour jumping in, more than happy to help you out. As we know in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in the space, there's scammers everywhere. So our community will do everything they can to tell you right out the gate. Don't trade with anyone unless you know exactly who they are. If you don't know who they are, you put it in the chat, ask the community, is this person legit? Like, we really have a beautiful community that way. And again, they come and we've got to meet so many of these people in person, and people from India to Africa to Argentina, all over the entire world. And we do these commemorative packs like the one that I was telling you about for the conferences. And it's really special because it allows people that maybe financially would never have the opportunity to come to America or one of these conferences from around the world and be able to enjoy the Bitcoin space in person. And I've had some great talks with different community members, one in particular from India, that's like, I'm stacking sats. No, I don't want to spend money on trading cards, on anything other than Bitcoin, but I feel like I'm missing out on the culture. And I want to be a part of the culture. And I'm never going to be able to afford to fly to America or fly somewhere to Europe to actually be at one of these conferences in person. But I can collect a pack from that conference that gives me some feeling that I was there during that time. I was there in 2023 before Trump came out and said, we're going to make Bitcoin part of the strategic reserve. Like, these are major milestones and moments in Bitcoin history. And the packs are a way to be able to hold a piece of that history and say, I was there during that time.
Have you ever considered, and this can be a controversial topic among Bitcoiners, in digitizing your collectibles into ordinals or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously had many offers, many situations where people have wanted to do that. I think there's a fine line. One is, right now is definitely not the right time. Things need to get figured out. There needs to be a total understanding of how all of this works. And a big one, I don't want to get in the middle of the drama. I don't want to be a part of it. I love the fact that we are a bridge.
Yeah.
We are not a competitor to any of these companies, these startups, businesses, from core to, like, I mean, we got a lot of things going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what I feel personally is we're not going to succeed if we're fighting and battling with each other. And if I jump in and choose a side, then I'm in the middle of the fight. Well, I think the fight is there's definitely reasons on each side for all kinds of things going on, but I work with new people. I'm not dealing with millionaires, billionaires, giant corporations, and governments. I'm dealing with your everyday person.
Right.
And the everyday person coming into Bitcoin sees the infighting, the battling, a lot of pettiness, and they're like, why would I think this is going to be successful? So right now, no plans whatsoever. I love the fact that we are physical only, and we're able to be that, hopefully, that bridge that gets people to be able to approach Bitcoin from outside and really enjoy it from the inside. It's why our community has been so successful, because why are we in Bitcoin? Why does Bitcoin exist? Well, because a lot of things are very, very broken and it needs to be fixed. So what do we have to talk about on Bitcoin and crypto Twitter? Broken, broken, broken. This sucks, that sucks. Being in Bitcoin as many years as I have, it can start to bring you down, and pessimism is really hard to stay away from when
So true.
So the cards are like a safe place. It's somewhere you can come and be a part of a community and talk about all these topics and subjects without it having to be a battle and a fight. So for now, the collectability alone of these cards are already doing so extremely well. No plans. And I like being the only competition to a multi-billion-dollar marketplace, which is the NFTs.
Oh, that's great. You mentioned community kind of spends time on Telegram. Is that the main place in which the community interacts online? Or are you on Discord? Obviously, you're on Twitter as well.
Yeah, so Telegram is where we started out in the beginning, and we've got, I think we have 800 people in there now. So definitely where a bulk of the communication happens, but we have a very robust Discord group. That one we've been working on building. I mean, a lot of our customers right now are, I would say, more of the millennial Gen X crowd. So a lot of them haven't quite gotten into the Discord, but we do have a massively robust Discord with pricing channels and secondary market channels, all kinds of things that were built by the community specifically. So over time, as we start getting more and more to the general public and hopefully more of a younger crowd, that we're really trying to get into this, because one, they're incentivized to have a collectible that is insanely scarce compared to anything they're buying. And two, I mean, it's got the best game in the world. Again, it's the game of life. Like, there's topics they can learn from these cards that could help change their life forever.
Just shifting to your family, how do you live sovereignly? Obviously, Bitcoin is a big part of your life. Is there anything else that you and your family do to kind of remove your reliance on the system?
Homeschool. Yeah, if you have the opportunity to homeschool, I know a lot of people, even us, when we first started looking into it, it seemed very scary. How are we going to be able to pull this off? But it is possible. There's a lot of amazing communities out there that band together around it. There's all kinds of resources. Homeschooling is the best thing that we ever did for our kids, hands down. So that's number one, the most important thing. And then second is learning over time that you only really need a handful of really good friends, and the rest, acquaintances, buddies, that's all great. And you should definitely have those. But the smaller and tighter your friend group is, especially when you have children, the more time you will have to cultivate those relationships. The stronger those relationships will be, and they'll last forever. You can imagine sharing your time over 5 friends versus sharing your time over 25 friends. Smaller the group, the more cultivated and amazing those relationships are going to be for the rest of your life. So that has been a huge one for me and my wife, is not disowning any friends or anything like that, but really just trying to focus down on what is the healthiest friendships we have in relationships for us, for our children, for everything we're trying to do, and focusing our cultivating on that specifically has been massive.
Can you tell us maybe a little bit about your kids, whatever you're comfortable with, and how homeschooling has been beneficial to them?
Yeah. So in the beginning, like, we have my oldest son, he's 19 now and he's graduated. When he was in public school, it was just pure struggle. I mean, this started out very young for him. Just his attention span, all the kids in the class, everyone's goofing off and doing their thing. It was so hard for him to focus. And every day was a massive struggle with his homework, with everything. And then once we started homeschooling, all of that weight came off of him. And within, I'd say, a year, he just started flourishing, doing absolutely amazing. Graduated with great grades, knocked everything out in a way that we could have never imagined in the beginning. It was incredibly empowering for him. My younger son, he loves baseball. Homeschooling for him was difficult in the beginning because he's more of a social guy, but we were able to find many baseball programs for him to be in that gave him that social environment. And at the end of the day, these different homeschool groups we were a part of, he ended up meeting a girl through one of the homeschool moms, had a couple kids, and he hit it off. And now it's been, I think, 2.5 years, madly in love, couldn't be happier in his life with her. So as long as you are exposing your kids to as many cultural situations as possible to get them out there, get them around other kids, I think that's one of the most important parts. Otherwise, with technology today, we're losing our kids right now. And it's a massive struggle. I mean, even with my kids with video games, it's a massive struggle to find that balance. And I grew up in the country. It was obviously before computers and everything, so it was a lot easier back then. But now we're in the suburbs, and I mean, we're not in the safest place. And California alone is pretty bad. So who our kids hang out with, I mean, at the end of the day, we try to let them have their own choice, but we're very blessed that we have really good kids. But sadly, it's not a situation where we're like, hey, you just go down to the park and hang out and you'll meet some people. There's a chance you're going to get stabbed or shot, honestly.
Jeez.
So yeah, California is special. So finding that balance between the video games and the computer time, I mean, that's where a lot of their friends exist. And even if they have their friends in real life, a lot of their friends are spending a lot of time on the computer as well. So if you pull them out of it entirely, well, then you're pulling them away from where a lot of their friends are hanging out. And that's a lot of their social environment, sadly, whether I like it or not. So I think that's the biggest balance right now for any parent in today's world is, if you don't live on a farm or live somewhere that's just really safe and healthy environment for your kids, the computer is where so many of these kids are going. So I think that's a massive struggle for all parents nowadays, and it's only going to get worse. AI is pushing us faster than we could ever imagine right now. And I think that brings me back to the point of why I want to stay physical. Anything we can do to get kids to come back into the physical world and embrace the physical world is going to be massively beneficial, not just as a family, but I think for every human being.
Kind of in your efforts of raising sovereign children, I understand from homeschooling families that you can get a lot of your work done in a short amount of time. Does that then translate into, in your experience, higher pressures or greater pressures than for your kids to be playing video games? Because you're kind of like, well, I'm done all my stuff. Like, I want to play games.
100%. Yeah, there's a hell of a balance there.
I appreciate that. This is something that my wife and I are often talking about as well, because our kids are are going to school, and it's challenging because we don't really like them enough to want to spend time with them all day long. We appreciate the babysitting service that school offers, but at the same time, there's an enormous amount of indoctrination that we kind of have to constantly be undoing, and yeah, it's difficult. We're in the middle of this discussion and have been for a while, and we just don't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, you have teenagers?
They're 8, 10, and 12, so not quite.
Perfect age to bring them around you and your family as much as possible and allow you and your family to be that voice for them. Because yeah, it doesn't matter what school. The indoctrination can come from anywhere from public school, charter schools, private Christian academies. It doesn't matter, because it's not just the teachers, it's the kids, and they're getting taught more by social media than public schools would ever do. So if we think that public schools were created to indoctrinate kids, doesn't matter how much balancing we're doing on that idea, they're spending more time on devices than anything else. And if there was ever anything that was created to indoctrinate everybody, it's the devices.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. All right, what's the future look like for your card business? Where are you going, and what are you most excited about?
Great question. So we've been more on the educational, just strictly collectible side since the beginning. And I have been working on something for about 3 years now. So I take my time on everything I do, make sure the research, the proof of work, everything is there before I just jump out. We don't have funding. Everything that we have done so far and everything we're doing is built on my back. So taking big risks, I want to stay alive and I don't want my wife to kill me. So I make sure I manage the level of those risks. But next year, towards the end of this year, there'll be a lot more coming out. But I've been working on something called Satoshi's Heroes. And this is, if you can imagine, Bitcoin trading cards meets Marvel Comics. So it's being able to tell these stories in a way that will help get the everyday person to be able to digest our whole value set, our ethos, everything we're trying to get across in the power of Bitcoin, but through storytelling. So it will we'll still have the orange pill in a pack. This is our flagship set that we do. It's once a year, 21,000 packs, finite supply. That's the Ferrari of Bitcoin trading cards. And then Satoshi's Heroes will literally be like Marvel Comics. We're planning on dropping the first comic book at the end of this year.
Cool.
That'll be a comic book. We're going for many awards on this one as the best print, best stories. We've put a lot of time into this to not just come out with something quick and easy. This is going to be quite the undertaking just for the comic book alone. And then that will be followed by a set of trading cards that we hope to have at brick and mortar stores. So we're in talks with some of the largest brick and mortar retail stores in the world right now. And fingers crossed we pull this off, because we will be bringing Bitcoin ethos education to the world in a way that hasn't been done yet. Again, through culture and storytelling that I believe has the most opportunity of any approach to get the everyday person to just stop for a minute and give it a try.
Are the heroes like actual people like Michael Saylor and Adam Back and Samson Mao, or are the heroes like mythical characters?
Mythical all the way. So we put all those people into the regular packs. I can give you an example here. So we make sure to get 100% approval, blessing, everything from anyone that we put in the packs. This is my favorite. This was a Christmas present sent back to me. This is a PSA graded Adam Back, signed by Adam Back, and him and Samson Mao actually sent these off to PSA to get them graded. So that's my prize possession.
That's cool.
And then this is my other one. I haven't gotten graded yet, but this is Hal Finney. And we were actually able to get Fran Finney's blessing on this, and that's her signature here on the card.
That's his wife, yeah?
Yes, that's his wife. So we're not playing around when it comes to how we do every single step of this. Michael Saylor, he's in the pack. We made sure to get his blessing on everything that we do. I have one of the only signed Michael Saylor cards when I got to hang out with him in Nashville last year. So definitely collectability on that one. But when it comes to Satoshi's Heroes, now you're going into more of a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings style, really building it in a fantasy style story so that we can go very heavy and very deep on the topics without having any PR issues of pointing out any particular individuals or anything like that. So the first set that we plan on dropping, I've got two working right now. I'm not sure which one will drop first, but it will either be the ancient Japanese universe, or it'll be a cypherpunk universe, because in all, we're doing 21 universes over the next 21 years. And each universe will have these 21 characters, using the 21 quite a bit, but there'll be 12 characters that travel in every one of these parallel universes, and they all represent virtues. It'll be family, unity, love, giving, all of these virtues that are always portrayed through each of these characters. And then you have the 9 vices, and the 9 vices is greed and gluttony, war, lots of different things that are basically attacking the world. So basically you can imagine these characters battling it out in multiple parallel universes over the next 20 or 30 years as we build this out. We're really approaching this as a way to get out there and try to be the next Marvel. I mean, there hasn't been anything from Marvel to DC, some little hits here and there, but what the world needs right now is something based. And what is based? It's being able to have an opinion and stand behind your opinion and integrity. And the number one thing we push more than Bitcoin is actually freedom. And to me, freedom is the ability to take my kids to a park and let them ride their bike without having to worry about them. The freedom for my kids is being able to run around the neighborhood after the lights go down. So it doesn't have to be freedom from oppression of the government or anything crazy like that. Everyone has their own idea of what freedom is. It could be, I'm not working a 9 to 5 anymore. I have only 3 days a week that I work, and the rest of the time I spend with my family. I get to move where I want. So freedom is the number one most important thing, and it doesn't matter how much money you have if you don't have personal freedom. So that's the biggest push behind everything we're doing here, is to put out our based opinion, which is everyone deserves their own personal freedom, whatever that might be. And it's time to get back to our roots. It's time to get back to the 80s and 90s before everything was highly, highly corrupted by, sadly, the internet. It's good and evil that it brings on, but getting people back to their roots, whatever that might be, and just enjoying the physical world. Go touch grass.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, that's pretty cool. It sounds like you're nearly one step away from releasing a trilogy of films as well.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised to hear that that's in the works at some point into the future, and obviously a much bigger undertaking.
Yes, absolutely. Sky's the limit as long as we stay the course.
Yeah, that's exciting. Alladan, it's been really interesting to talk to you. I appreciate the time you've given me. Can you just tell us where can we find out more about your collectibles?
Yeah, so the website is btccards.com. There's all kinds of great information on there, from secondary market to checklists of every single card we've ever printed per set. We're 100% transparent about everything we do. So all the information's out there. The Telegram group is a great place to get started if you're really interested. Jump in there, ask questions. Again, we've got an amazing community that love to be helpful and make sure that if people are going to be buying these cards, they know what they're getting into. Sats before packs. But if you're looking to learn about Bitcoin, we have packs as affordable as $2 to $3 per pack. They're not highly collectible. They're still probably 100, if not 1,000 times scarcer than anything Pokemon has ever printed. But they're more on the educational side. I'm sure that's what your kids were playing around with. And then we have, again, Orange Pill in a pack right now. Series 3, it was Warriors versus Villains. And that one is probably the hardest hitting set that we will ever create. We are toning it down quite a bit because we had some feedback about toning it down and being safe with our PR. So we exposed a lot in that set. And if you want something insanely based, then that's definitely a pack to buy before they're all gone.
That's great. Thanks, Alladan. I really appreciate your time. Based trading cards sounds absolutely remarkable. And I know my kids have enjoyed the ones that they've been able to collect over the last couple of months. Alladan, thanks so much for being with me here today.
Yeah, thank you, Jared. Much appreciated.